Hey guys. Welcome to a random impulsive live stream. I'm going to try and share this with my other channel because I haven't figured out how to do collabs to tag them in the, like, do I tag my other channel in okay. Oh, I can. Okay, good. All right, I'm just going to share this with my other channel, so maybe we can get some of my ham people over here. Doing a random. I could have done the live stream on my ham channel, though I'm not doing ham stuff, so. I think I might put my call sign in the title, but I'm going to share this to my socials. Random chill stream on a Thursday. And I don't know how long this is going to be, just literally just chilling. I don't know what topics we're going to do. It's just literally random. Period. Nope. Oh, good Lord. It's Tim. Okay. Oh, good Lord. Fucking idiots, man. Some of these geniuses, I swear. People passing themselves off as voices of accountability. Meanwhile, they don't have the facts behind it that would actually mean something and would actually add, validity and strength to their argument. Okay, there we go. Yes, leave. Good Lord. I want to hear it. I swear to God, people, like, all right, I'm gonna. Oh, this live stream also gives me an opportunity to. I'm gonna go have a. I'm gonna go have a. I'm gonna go have a shower and get dressed. I was like, I'm short a ring. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go have a shower. I'll be back. Ask your questions. I'm just gonna put this in the live chat so people know. And going, ask me anything. All right. When I come back, I'll check your question back. Hey Google, music on.
Okay, playing Spotify.
Trying not to get copyright claimed. Hey Google, next. Hey Google, volume 5%. I'm hoping I don't get a copyright claim. I'm just trying to have music on for you guys. Like, you're going about this all wrong, dude. Okay, shower time. Music off. Screw it. Huh. Yeah. All right. Shower time. I'll charge my watch. Yeah, you guys are gonna watch me make food later. Aren't you excited? Won't be long in the shower because I just had one last night, so. Well, I should get my coffee ready, but I can do that after.
wash my hair. That's all. Oh.
go. First thing to dry is the hair. At least somewhat. I have a hair dryer, but I haven't used it. Oh. Oh. Oh, good lord. Make sure I dry off everything, because otherwise I'm going to feel the cold. Because it is so cold out, even though it says it's like 16 degrees out. Perfect. Okay. Oh, they've been lowered. They weren't even part of the process, dude. Like, they thought the city was gonna put a fucking RFP out? No. Sorry guys, thinking out loud. Just the uninformed and misinformed people I interact with on a daily basis is exhausting. And it's so unnecessary because it's literally nothing. It takes no effort to actually look up information and fact check yourself. Like even I fact check myself sometimes. Heck, I've done it on stream. I've done it on stream, so almost ready, guys. Just gotta put my top layer on here. Whew. Hey Google, what's the forecast in Mitchell, Ontario right now?
It's currently -8 degrees Celsius and cloudy in Mitchell, Ontario.
Hey Google, what's the...
It's currently -8 degrees Celsius and cloudy in Mitchell, Ontario. Tonight will bring snow showers with a low of -13 degrees Celsius.
Thank you. Okay, and let's just throw on a random t-shirt. Okay. Oh, I guess that 18 degrees didn't last long. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go put my glasses on. And hang up my towels. I always put a towel down on my mat just to help the. Because I don't like having mats that are. I don't like having mats that aren't that are like soaked. Okay. Nobody's asked me anything. Let's just check. Live chat. Okay, so wearing one of my ham tees that I made myself. Oh, hi fudgies. So this is going to be a random stream in every sense of the word because I don't even have like a set plan or anything. I gotta turn my volume up here. There we go. That might help. It's just a chill stream. Just an opportunity for people to come by and chill with me for a little bit. I don't know why my hair does that. Even when I have a shower, it does that. And it's weird. I'm a little vain when it comes to my hair. Like I'm always concerned about how it looks. So I'm not perfect. But yeah, so just wanted to do a stream just to kind of hang out and chill. Nothing going on, no wrestling's on tonight, so just gonna chill and take her easy. Oh, where's my Vaseline? aloe vera Vaseline because it's winter in Canada, and that just and I tried not to have such a hot shower today because I know that's probably not helping the dry skin, but yeah. Oh, that's already considerably better. And I find if you do this right after a shower, it actually helps a lot more because after a shower, your skin's just wanting to soak up moisture and drying and such. So it actually helps a lot. At least in my experience. I'm not a doctor, so please don't take medical advice from me. It just seems to work for me. But something I might actually do is get my mag mount antenna out and do some ham radio stuff. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that on my other channel, my VA3 FTG channel. Uh-oh. It's not coming here. I'm just going to do this. All right. I just put the channel name in the description, so. Can I edit my tags? Customization. No. Damn it. Yeah, though if I'm going to do that, I'm going to get my, I'm going to also stream from my Windows laptop as well because it's just closer to my setup. So it's going to be interesting once I get a proper computer desk. Once I get a proper computer desk, it'll be yeah, because I'm supposed to be getting a computer desk soon from a friend, and that should help with developing a setup because I want to have a proper setup for streams, not only for my ham channel, but for my main channel as well, because I want to be able to just sit at my desk rather than sitting on my couch and whatever, and being able to watch WWE and stuff. But yeah, just thought I'd do a random stream on a Thursday late afternoon. There's nothing going on. There's, wrestling's on tomorrow night, so I'll be streaming for that. Yeah, there's not much going on, so figured I'd go live for a bit. There's some fairly exciting news in my area, at least here in Mitchell. Stratford area more often than not, but I just saw that Flixbus is coming to Stratford, which is exciting. I think that'll be very successful, especially in the summertime, during tourist season, especially. Like people that would usually travel from Kitchener or from other cities will just hopefully spare the gas money and just put it towards getting to and from. I know I used to, when I lived in London, I used to take Flixbus all the time to Kitchener. And now that they're going to have an in-between stop in Stratford, makes me very happy. But like, I'm also apprehensive because like I saw the announcement and I'm like, and people in London are going to complain because that just makes the trip to Kitchener longer, blah, 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 blah. Because they did the same thing with the Go service. Like when there was the Go pilot a couple years ago. Yeah. Bunch of people in London were complaining because, it takes 4 hours to get to Toronto. I'm like, okay, so take one of the other ones that doesn't. Like, the whole point of that entire thing is not another option to go to Toronto. It's an option. It's an additional option for the smaller communities like Kitchener, Stratford, St. Mary's to have greater connectivity to the larger hubs such as London and Toronto. This is why smaller communities suffer so much from lack of transit options. It's because if it's not rolled out like completely, like if it's not for the fact that most of the time it's rolled out without any kind of permanence, it's just always a pilot. It's never just, we're just going to offer this and not take it away in like 2 years. It's because people in larger cities where these things go to complain because if they want to use it, it means it takes longer to get to their destination. Well, if you're only taking Flixbus just for the sake of taking Flixbus, there's still going to be trips to larger cities. Like there's still going to be London to Toronto and London to other cities. So just take that one. If you're going to Toronto, there's many options from London. There's so many options from London to go to Toronto. But if you're going to complain about something that is going to Toronto, but also connecting other smaller communities to those same two hubs, you're part of the problem. Like, shut up. Like, I remember seeing all the people complaining about the Go service taking 4 hours. Like, it was a milk run. Yeah, that was the point. But because people complained and therefore didn't use it because they didn't want to take 4 hours, like, people in Stratford used it. I know people in Stratford used it. I know people in St. Mary's used it. The infrastructure probably could have been improved to make that a lot more efficient, but yeah, like this is why we can't have nice things. But I hope Flixbus doesn't have the same fate. I hope it's not a pilot. I hope it's not like based on like people's feedback. Like I hope they don't bring it in and then just take it out because people complain. Like there's 2 trips per day, which is what is out of London to go to Kitchener anyway, so it works. Actually, I think there's more trips to Kitchener out of London now. I'll have to look it up, but like there is a fair bit of options to go between London and Kitchener. So I'm curious which ones will be the ones that stop in Stratford. Because I've taken, like I said, I've taken the Flixbus from London to Kitchener. So I'm curious which ones will or maybe they're just starting in Stratford and going to Kitchener in London. Like that would be kind of, if they had that kind of thing, that'd be kind of cool. Like if I'm not sure. I want to take it this summer. Like I'm gonna tell my friend that I usually go on day trips with. Like I just need to drop me off in London and then drive to Kitchener and I'll meet you there because I'm gonna take the Flixbus. Just because I want to help, like give me a ride to Stratford and then I'll meet you in Kitchener. I know that sounds kind of counterproductive, but this friend doesn't like taking like transit. They're car dependent. I'm gonna say that only because their job kind of they don't really want to be on transit away from work, so I understand that. So I'm like, okay, just drop me off in Stratford. I'll take Flixbus and I'll meet you in Kitchener. But no, I'm very excited to see what that brings to Stratford. I'm very excited. This summer is going to be so busy for me. I'm going to be visiting London at least twice. More than that, hopefully. I don't think I'll do the same thing I did last year where I went for a week of my birthday. I don't think I'll do that again this year. I think instead I will just want to check that nobody's leaving me questions because somehow Q&A and I'm just going to end it just so I can confirm. Because you guys can just ask me anything in the chat anyways. So, but anyways, where I was going, like last year I did the entire week of my birthday in London. I came back, I ended up having to come back halfway through due to something that was going on with a friend of mine. It's not fun. But I don't think I'll do that this year. I think I'll do maybe a couple days the week of my birthday and then that's it. Cause like the entire reason I did that last year was I was hoping to spend a lot more time with a lot more people over my birthday than I ended up actually like I was like, hey, I'm going to be in London for an entire week. So London peeps, get at me. Not very many people did. And that was unfortunate. Because I was like, okay, so why am I here then? Like I made the plans so that I could be available for people just to have nobody be like, oh, like nobody took the initiative. It was me reaching out to people. Like, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to maybe do a couple days just so people don't have to travel all the way to Mitchell because I understand. Trust me, I understand. And that's why it really sucks in wintertime, especially with the weather, because the weather doesn't help. And then the fact that it's an hour. But I'm only going to do a couple days the week of my birthday. But I'm also going to be visiting London because I'm going to be canvassing with a few of my friends that are running for re-election there. Two of them that I know of. I'm still waiting on hearing about anybody else doing it because I'll happily, spread myself throughout the city. Because I'm a very see. I used to be like hardcore NDP, like hardcore. Like and that was naivete on my part. Because I was, just getting my feet into the political arena and even as an observer. And, I was not aware of the idiosyncrasies of it and the good and the bad and the indifferent across the board. So now that I tend to very much be I don't have allegiances with anybody particularly. Like I will agree with people on things, but I'll disagree with the same people on other things. Like I'm very like engaged, but I'm also not like engaged only in support of somebody or something. Like when it comes to homelessness, transit, and poverty, those are the three things that are my wheelhouse. Rules and regulations are also my wheelhouse, so that helps when it comes to those other things. So I'm less likely to just blindly support any particular, like, I know, many people, and this is the one thing that kind of makes me kind of giggle, because for the longest time, and even still to this day, many people are like, oh, you're very pro city council and pro city. I'm like, no, actually, if you actually look at my social media posts and my blog posts over the years, I've been very anti-city, but I have a different approach about it. I can approach things objectively. So even though I may have strong feelings one way or the other, I'm still able to take a seat back, like sit back and look at things objectively. Like look at what each player is doing, good, bad, or indifferent. And then I don't just go by what media and social media and this and that and the other. I actually take the initiative and actually talk to these people. And I talk to the decision makers. I talk to MPs. I talk to MPPs. I talk to city staff. I talk to the people that the media only gives snippets of, which is their entire existence is to only give a small picture of the actual overall. And I get how that is problematic. Trust me. I'm the first to say that the media needs to find a better way of being objective themselves. And they do try. Don't always succeed, but they try. But I'm able to, even though I may strongly oppose somebody or something, I'm still able to approach it I'm still able to be like unfiltered and uncensored and, blunt, but I'm able to do so because I have the facts, having fact checked everything and double checked and triple checked and, independent, like when they say independent verification, it's what I do. Why? Because I look into the rules and regulations of things and how that plays into it. And I'm able to approach decision makers with that experience, and therefore much more beneficial outcome, good or bad. Because if you're going into a conversation with somebody, it's important to have the facts. Like if you're going to criticize something, at least know what you're criticizing. And you don't see that a lot. You see a lot of people just mindlessly criticizing, like London City Council over things, or this, that, or the other. It helps to actually fact check things yourself. Do not depend on social media or media, or even the people at City Hall and etc. Do the homework, do the footwork, look for the stuff that's not available publicly, look behind the scenes. Like work behind the scenes to get the information you need. And then when you go to criticize it publicly, you have that information to fall back on. And then those decision makers cannot turn around and say, oh, well, you're full of it. Because you can literally say, I have receipts. Like, this is where this is based on. Like, and you don't see that from so many of these armchair advocates and social justice warriors. And like, there's a lot of content creators that operate in that same kind of misinformed and uninformed narrative spin. And that doesn't help anything. But you also see creators like various on YouTube, TikTok, etc. What is happening? Just notifications on my phone. But you have content creators that actually pride themselves on fact-checking things. And bias plays a role a lot. And while that can be beneficial in some cases, In some cases, bias is important, but in most cases, being unbiased is the best way to go about things. Even if you have an opinion, this, that, or the other, like on either side, if you're able to objectivity is important. Context is important. And if you're only getting context and information from the same, like, sources that have the same argument or criticism or narrative or ideology that you do, that's not going to help, because you're only getting one slice of the picture. Like, you can investigate the other side without going out of your way to do it. You can do it behind the scenes. You can do it privately. Like, the opportunities are there for people to actually not have to, depend on sources that are on either side. You can actually get unbiased information by following the process back to where it began. And you don't see that very often. You see it sometimes, but more often than not, the majority of the voices you hear are the ones that shouldn't be heard, that aren't doing the footwork to get the information and make sure that it's accurate, and instead are just knee-jerk reactions. And I can see how, like, knee-jerk reactions are, a vital thing. But, like, some people take that and that's their only source. You know what I mean? Like, and so, like, even you can, if you have all the information verified, like, you from all sides, you can have all sides worth of information verified by unbiased sources. And when you go to have those knee-jerk reactions based on that, your influence on other people that may see it and may only see you as their only source, or try and, that helps your case. That helps you have a strong perspective and a strong foothold in the conversation. But if you're just going to knee-jerk react and basically spread misinformation based on your lack of experience or knowledge of the particulars and the idiosyncrasies and the context and the complexities of what you're trying to criticize or what you're trying to speak about, that's contributing to the problem. And the saying goes, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Like, sure, we need unfiltered voices. No doubt about it. No argument from me ever. Hello, I have an entire series where that's basically what I do. Unfiltered perspective. But yet you also need even just the most minute of context and experience with the issue that you're talking about in order for that to be a strong, unfiltered voice. Otherwise, you're just another voice. If you can take what your concerns are and what your views are and have the information from unbiased sources, from all sources, from every source, and objectively look at that before you try and express what your concerns are, you have a much better outcome waiting for you. Because if you're gonna, give an example. If you're gonna, I'll use the easiest example because it's been in the news recently, and you guys already know my views on it. The modular shelters in London. People are criticizing the fact that they keep re-announcing the opening of these and how they're moving people in mid-month and this, that, and the other, and only a certain number of people at a time. Now, see, I can see where that concern comes from. Like, yeah, they keep, it is what it is happening. There's no argument there. But why is it happening? That's what people don't seem to understand. And that's what contributes to the misinformation conversation around the modular shelters. Like, I've seen people that were complaining about, nonprofits not being the leaders of the modular shelters. Well, last I checked, they weren't even approached because it wasn't part of the London response. It was Mayor Morgan using his strong mayor powers to bring something in. And person has said, their bid was low and then somebody outbid them. Well, yeah, that happens. But should we criticize the city because they took the highest bidder? Not exactly. Like, sure, we could, and by all means. But that's on the outside looking in, without any kind of information or context as to what the circumstances were that led to that being the reality. Like, do we know? And I've looked into things myself, and a lot of the misinformation that's being spread about, like, oh, the nonprofits, bid lower, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've looked into things from unbiased sources, and a lot of that information I've seen that I'm not really at liberty to discuss, but it is out there if you wish to find it, kind of counters that narrative and opposes it directly. But people are allowed to have their views. But again, this goes back to you're being part of the problem by not actually looking into things and just taking some, guaranteed people are taking social service agencies' word as scripture when they really shouldn't. Like, criticism and having a critical view of things can actually be a healthy thing. And when it comes to media and when it comes to a lot of things, it's actually a very constructive thing to have and very good thing to have. And it's a very good tool to have, because otherwise you're going to be influenced by things that really shouldn't be influencing you. Because if you lack the objectivity of even being able to look at things from all sides rather than just the ones that align with your ideas or concerns or this or that and the other, you're missing an entire other piece of the puzzle. You're missing other pieces of the puzzle. Like when it comes to the modular homes, people are like, oh, well, and this is just more proof of, and you guys have heard me in my episodes of my Unhoused series talk about this, but the influence loop is disgusting and it's toxic. Because let's go back. Mayor Morgan announces the modular homes program. Who's the first to have outrage? Social service agencies. Why? Because Mayor Morgan had a separate company heading it, for reasons that you would understand if you actually had the proper context. Again, was that a good or bad move? You could go either way on that one. You really could. And then not only local media, but also social service agencies start complaining about the lack of transportation options because, London Transit service out there sucks. No argument there. No argument there. Lack of transportation options, valid argument. However, that's on the outside looking in. Proper context is required here because the proper context would lead you to know that that's already been planned for. There's already alternatives to those limited options being made available for people that are going to live here. So again, lack of context, outside looking in, not being an insider, and you don't even need to be an insider. You just have to read the reports. Like the public reports will tell all on this stuff. And then if you still need proper clarity, go to the parties. And I'm not even talking the city or the agency. I'm talking higher. It's strong. It's based out of strong mayor powers. So where does that come from? Federal government. So let's go to the federal government. Let's go to those sources that brought this to fruition. Again, people don't seem to want to do that. They don't want to look at the actual proper data and proper information that's available. And they'd rather just depend on social service agencies, who haven't looked at it, who also haven't looked at it, who aren't involved in it whatsoever, contrary, and they are upset about not being involved. Well, gee, I wonder why. This is the kind of behavior you exhibit. Honestly, like, I'm not even involved in it, but I knew better than these social service agencies did. And I didn't even have to go to my connections at London City Council. I didn't have to, like, I read the reports that were publicly available, and I went to the sources, aside from the city, of where this came from on all sides. Not just biased ones, but also the actual people responsible for it. And so when people are like, oh, well, there's no transportation options for the people at this modular homes. Yes, there is. Like, yeah, there's no, like, transit service out there sucks. No argument from me on that one. But to say that there's a lack of options, no. Like, outside of the modular homes project, yeah, there's a lack of transportation. No argument from me on that. But when it comes to the modular homes project, there will be transportation provided. And it's not rocket science to look into that. You literally have to read reports that are publicly available and talk to the people other than the city and other than these agencies that are heading it, and they will tell you, yeah, there's going to be transportation available. We're not making them depend on London Transit, because that'd be stupid. Quite frankly, that'd be stupid. But again, that's the kind of misinformation that was instantly spread, and the local media picked it up and ran with it. Oh, there's no, and people, rightfully so, got outraged based on that. But had these agencies actually had the proper context and actually looked into things and said, hey, there's going to be proper transportation available, they're not going to have to depend on transit service or any other kind of, service like cabs, etc. Because even cab service out there leaves a lot to be desired. But again, if these agencies would have done the footwork and looked into things before bipping off, specifically Abe Utzhorn, for example, who was one of the first to bip off about something that he clearly didn't know anything about, like the actual context stuff, it would have spared so much unnecessary misinformation being spread. Like, I even knew better, and I'm not even involved. Like, I'm not intimately involved. I'm not, a member of city council. I'm not a member of the city staff. I'm not a member of the agency that is leading it. I'm not a member of the government governing body that is literally behind it. No, but I went to those places to get the information because I was like, okay, they're going to put it there. Critical thinking is not used as effectively as I would like to see. Like, critical thinking would be like, you know what? Yeah, transit service out there sucks. I wonder if there's alternative options that are going to be available. So before I bip off about it, maybe I should look into it. Foreign concept, it seems. I know. But like, and then people were complaining, including agencies, including Abe Utzhorn was complaining because, it was a certain company that was heading it. Even though that certain company has a track record of success in similar things previously. But that didn't stop Abe Utzhorn from being like, nonprofits should have been in charge of this. And other people have taken that and ran with it. People have spread it far and wide without actually investigating. Why is it that these nonprofit agencies, these local agencies, were not touted for this? And to understand that, look at my episode on this entire subject. I actually made 2 or 3. I made the initial one talking about the modular shelter project. I made an entire episode devoted to the influence loop and why that, and how the response, and it literally lies out why local agencies weren't touted to lead. And I'll give you a big spoiler alert, because of the fact that it was not in the core. If it was in the core, the agencies would be all over it. But because it wasn't in the core, and plus it wasn't even part of the London whole of community response, it was strong mayor powers. But even then, the city wasn't about to turn around and be like, hey, we want these local agencies to run it because they've done so well otherwise. Like, the amount of misinformation and just uninformed perspectives offering their 2 cents without actually looking into why things are the way they are is disgusting and doesn't help anything. It's actually, and the saying goes, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So, but hey, what do I know? But no, people have been like, oh, well, they should have had nonprofit agencies, blah, 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 blah. Well, the same nonprofit agencies that have basically worsened the problem since 2022 when they took over from the city on dictating the responses. Yeah. And if you go to these, and I keep having to go back to this, and it's frustrating that people don't seem to grasp this. Anytime the city's tried to do something outside the core, look back over the past 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, who's been the first to complain about it? These agencies. And as I did in the episode, I actually pulled up a media article from the London Free Press with the headline, "People will die if this goes ahead." Agencies do not like not having everything centralized in the core. And yes, as I said in that episode, it works for some people. It does not work for everybody. But these agencies seem to keep going on the inclination that if it works for some people, it'll work for everybody. And therefore, we don't need to offer alternatives. We don't need to be doing anything different. Yeah, you do. Because unhoused people have been begging for it. And it's ironic, for the very city that you're always willing to criticize about what they're not doing, the things they have tried to do have been based on feedback from unhoused individuals that, oh, we don't know who they're talking to. Bull. It's the same people that are talking to you that you're ignoring. And I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. But the things that city is doing, like using strong mayor powers to bring these modular shelters at a distance from the core, you guys are on the NIMBY train all of a sudden. Like, yes, as somebody who's confronted NIMBY on many occasions in the past 20 years, NIMBYism is a bad thing. Yes. But to stick that label to a modular home shelter program because it's away from the core and is so remote, again, lacks the context on why it's so remote, why it's being located out there. It's not because out of sight, out of mind. It's based on feedback from unhoused individuals. Therefore, the city is, contrary to these agencies' belief, actually listening to unhoused Londoners. But you know who's not listening to a majority of them? These agencies. Otherwise, they would have brought this out 3 years ago. So, it's mind-boggling to see the mental Olympics these agencies pull every time the city tries to do something actually asked for by unhoused Londoners. Like, in that episode, I pulled up the article. Oh, we don't know who the city's talking to. Yeah, you do. It's the same people that are talking to you, or the same people that refuse to talk to you because they know whatever they say is going to fall on deaf ears, because unless it's what you want them to tell you, you don't want to hear it. And I've seen it with my own eyes. But again, these agencies bitch and complain and, have campaigns about, oh, they're doing this, this, this. And they have people that will take that and run with it without actually looking at the actual full picture. They take one portion of the picture and assume that's the entire picture. I used to do that. Wholeheartedly will acknowledge that. I used to do that. I used to think that what I was being told by one source was the entire. But I've learned differently. And a lot of people in London need to do the same when it comes to these agencies. Stop drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. Stop drinking the, oh, we're just doing great work and nothing's wrong. And again, this is another ironic loop that I keep coming back to. For the same organizations that are always willing to point out the negatives of what the city is or isn't doing, which rightfully so. The city hasn't always done the greatest things. They've done some good things, but some of the things, not so much. I will even acknowledge that. But these are the same agencies that if the city wants to return the favor and actually, validly criticize what they're not doing, oh, no. To the point where they will literally lobby other city councilors to try and shut down any kind of conversation about anything other than positive work they're doing. Again, part of the problem. Which then causes people out in the public to attack these very, 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 very competent counselors. Like the amount of, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Like the amount of smear campaigns that I've seen in the past 4 years towards 1 or 2 or 3 counselors based on decisions they've made, based on actually having context and metrics and actual experience and knowledge of the actual issue and the full picture, not just the little tiny picture that the media and or these agencies want people to have. If they go to speak about it and say, hey, yeah, they're doing good work, but here's where they're coming up short. Yeah, their approach isn't always the greatest. I'll acknowledge that. And I'm one of the first to tell them such. Trust me on that. You can ask any city councilor. There is emails back and forth between us where the discussion is ongoing. But that's just the thing. It seems that councilors, majority, I probably can only count on one hand, and we have 14 councilors in London. I can count on one hand ones that actually regularly respond and engage with me. 5 out of 14. That's a problem. And why is that, do you figure? Well, let's look at it. Look at the ones that are always touting the positive work of these agencies. They're among the ones that don't engage with me when I too criticize these agencies, validly so as somebody of lived experience. Interesting. Very interesting. But yet, again, the influence loop needs to stop at city level. Objectivity needs to come back. Sure, you can have positive rapport with agencies and positive interactions with agencies and positive relationships with agencies. But when those relationships are only built on touting the positive instead of having an open dialogue about the negatives as well, that's a problem. And that seems to be a thing that's been happening over the past decade, so long before even this term of council. It's been a thing for a decade. And I know this was just a chill stream, but you guys know me. I get passionate about stuff. I start talking about it. But some of these people, and that's the thing, I am the difference. Because unlike half these other people that claim to be all for political accountability, I'm one of the few that actually has the facts behind it. I will openly criticize this city on many things, as I have in the past. The mayor's advisory panel on poverty. Yeah, there was some criticism for me on that one. Majorly. 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 And I've been critical of how staff have responded to several things, personally or otherwise. I've privately had conversations with city staff and city councilors about things that I've experienced or that have been shared with me by others that have experienced it. And I've gone to them and I've gone to MPPs and MPs and other parties about about that criticism. But I don't do it without having done the homework about, okay, so this is how it is, unfortunately. This is why it is the way it is, unfortunately. Okay, so how can I use that in my criticism of it to produce positive outcomes and changes? And I don't think a lot of people that claim to be all for political accountability have the ability to do that. They just spout off and blip off and just, oh no, this city's evil, blah blah blah, like blatant anti-city. And be anti-city. Cool. I'm anti-city at times. But the community is solid and don't be part of the problem. And by problem, I mean misinformation. If you're going to criticize the city, by all means. But there are facts and context to take into that. And actually makes those criticisms stronger and more effective and more likely to produce positive outcomes. Which is what I have learned the hard way over the past 20 years. Like I've said in previous videos, I am one who at one point was very just anti-city and would not be convinced otherwise. Or could not be, reasoned with. I was very blunt and stubborn. I'm still blunt and stubborn. But I like to think that I'm blunt and stubborn in a more constructive way rather than a destructive way. Like when I first got my let's go back to where I was trying to go. When I first got my feet wet in the political arena, so to speak, when I first tried to, try and be an engaged community member, I was very naive. And I'll acknowledge that. And going back, I wish I would have known then what I know now. But again, it's a learning process. I'm still learning. But I had several people that were trusted sources. Now, did I know that they were biased? Not exactly. I knew they had strong opinions one way or the other, but I didn't ever think, oh, they don't know. I never assumed, oh, they're just one side. No, they presented themselves as, oh, we're well-rounded. Come to find out, not so much. And a lot of those sources were the same sources and the same people and agencies that we see today heading the response. Very ones that are pushing for transparency and accountability from the city and others, rightfully so, but who aren't offering the same when others come calling for it from them, including unhoused individuals or people that provide their funding for a large majority. The people that contribute to their work and people that contribute to their funding ask for accountability and ask for, clarity on why, yes, they're doing great work, but there are also areas they need to address. Oh, no. Then you get the bully label. Then you get the anti-homeless label. Then you get the anti-addict label, which is really hilarious when you're one of the very addicts and one of the very unhoused. Like, these agencies need to be stopped, not shut down. Don't get it twisted. They need to be stopped because they're contributing more to the problem than they are the solution. And they're so unaware of just how much so, because they're too busy trying to tout themselves as being part of a solution. Yes, they're part of the solution. Not gonna argue that. But they're also part of the problem. And that needs to be addressed. And changes need to be made. Not saying they need to be shut down or whatever. But if it may mean they need their funding reallocated to things that are, more important. But I'm going to touch on that as well. Because even not being in London anymore, I still read the reports. I still read motions. And if I need clarity, I'll reach out. But I would never, ever take what is available in terms of reports and motions and form my own opinions and just go with it. And one thing that concerned me deeply, as much as me and these counselors do not always get along and do not agree on things the majority of the time, but I just happened to see that somebody had gone on a rant, not a city councilor, a community member, had gone off on a rant about how these counselors were seeking to reallocate funding away from homeless veterans and how that was wrong. Hate to tell you, bud, but if you actually read the motion, that's not even part of it. That's not even part of what they're asking for. But again, people just skim things and then just take it as scripture. And then they just go off. Well, sorry to say, but not only did that reallocation never come up in the meeting, it was not part of the motion. So that funding for homeless veterans stays put. It's not being touched. It's not being it wasn't part of the funding that they were asking to be reallocated. The amount of mental Olympics people will take and run with is disturbing. And again, I used to be one of them. Full disclosure. Not sure if anybody's aware, but if you read some of my past posts on social media and my blog, yeah, I was very much part of that crowd at one point. And that was before I, learned what tact is and learned that the best way to change systems is to work within them, not against them. Because even working within them, you could still work against them. Two things can exist at once. Just like you can be anti-city while also being pro-city. It's really weird. Trust me, it has been weird. It's still weird for me to toe that, to balance that. But I'm pro-city only in the manner that I want to see things change rather than getting worse. And when I say I'm anti-city, I'm anti-city as it is or as it's been, but I'm pro-city for where it could be. And I've learned that approaching something that needs to change with animosity doesn't work. Responding to something that needs to change or needs to be better with destructive criticism doesn't work. No, you need objectivity, and you need constructive criticism, and you need a well-rounded perspective, and you need to have even just a smidgen of respect. If not for them, for yourself. And that's been something that has been difficult for me to learn. It has been a journey. And it's been a source of a lot of sleepless nights. It's been a source of a lot of heated discussions with people. And it's really, it's helped me overall, because it's taken what used to be a very strong I'm not, I can be, I like to say I'm optimistically pessimistic. So I'm hopeful for outcomes, but I'm skeptical of them at the same time. Like, I know how things operate usually, so I know what to expect in terms of responses. And so I've learned the necessary tact it takes to maneuver that and navigate it in a way that produces the positive outcomes I'm seeking. And I don't see that from so many other people that I really wish I could. I see people that I respect what their intention is. They want to be, one that holds politicians accountable for stuff. Cool. That's needed. 100%. But the approaches people take actually does more harm to them than it does to the city they're trying to hold accountable. And I get one of two responses when I point this out to people. I get the, oh, blah, 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 blah. I get the, oh, you're pro-city, you're this, that, and the other. No, I'm pro doing better at trying to hold people accountable properly. Like, hold people accountable by all means. Be passionate about it by all means. Be unfiltered about it by all means. If anything, I am a strong believer and a strong supporter of being unfiltered and blunt about it. But there's tact. There's a way to do it in an effective way. By understanding the processes, even if you don't agree with them. In fact, understanding the processes actually helps your argument for why things need to change. Because you understand it, because you're so frustrated with it. Because you understand it. And you can't address a problem unless you actually understand it. Or have at least minimal experience with it yourself. Like, the amount of people on the outside looking in on this homeless issue is disgusting. Like, I get people just want things to be better for people, but they don't understand the barriers across the board that exist that come from decades old things that need to change before we see any change locally. And it's just people that have no systems navigation experience and think they can just spout off about what they think. Like, I'm going to go back to the point I was trying to make. People were like, oh, they're moving people mid-month, or they're re-announcing when they're going to start welcoming people. Yes. Weather plays a role, absolutely. But more importantly, and these agencies know this better than anybody because they do it every day. opportunities need to be accommodated, need to have accommodations for changes and an adaptation to circumstances, because circumstances change. So, and especially when it comes from moving somebody that was unhoused in a toxic environment, like a shelter in the downtown core or being siloed into the downtown core, and moving them away from that into a different environment, wherever it is, whether it be housing, whether it be another shelter option, whether it be this, that, or the other, that takes time for somebody to adjust to. So people need time to gradually adapt. Like mid-month, okay, it's happening. Like you talk like it's not happening. It's happening, but it's happening gradually. And people are like, oh, it's orchestrated. No, it's planned out specifically that way. Agencies do this with housing, with rehousing all the time. These same, like, I've seen London Cares utilize this kind of process. Like they plan for months in advance. Like they'll say, oh, this is the date we're moving in by. Okay. And they'll start out, but something will change and they'll need to adapt. So they'll need to prolong, they'll need to delay the date, which happens. Hell, I am living proof of this. I moved into here 2 months later than I was initially supposed to. Actually, a month later. Yeah. Because timeline. Got the phone call on May 1st saying they had a unit available for me. Had to hand in all the paperwork. Okay. That took 2 days. This is my experience. It's not the standard, but using my experience. So they gave me the move-in date of June 1st. Okay. June 1st was not going to work. So we needed to move it. We needed to delay it. Why? Because circumstances dictated it. My individual circumstances dictated that June 1st would not work, so we needed to delay it, which was no problem. No issue. I moved in here June 27th. I was going to say July 1st. Then I realized, oh, wait, Canada Day, nothing's open. Social services offices are closed. All right. So because I needed to plan for not only moving to Mitchell, but also going to Stratford first, signing the paperwork, getting the keys, and then going to Mitchell. So I had to plan for that. There's the amount of, again, this just drives me nuts. So should I be criticized because I didn't move in June 1st and then and that me and housing decided on a later date? No. Why? Because circumstances dictated that date needed to be changed. Same reason why the date has changed for people move into the modular shelters, because it really depends on how long an individual that's unhoused will need. Some people may need a couple days. Some people may need a couple weeks. Some people may need a month. Some people, like, what is the problem? Like, okay, so they had to re-announce the dates. Yeah, that happens. Like, good Lord. Like people are complaining because, oh, they're moving mid-month. Yeah, that happens sometimes. That needs to happen sometimes. The amount of times I've moved mid-month or even at a date later than what initially was presented, that happens a lot. That happens everywhere. Like literally everywhere. It's not exclusive to this. It happens more often than people seem to realize. The amount of people I've seen who are unhoused moved into housing in the middle of a month happens so often. People are moving off the street into shelters in the middle of the month. People are moving, like, this isn't a new thing. But people are criticizing it, like, oh, they kept renouncing it. Yeah, because that needed to happen. Why? It wasn't because it was orchestrated. Well, at least not in the negative connotation that people seem to be spinning it as. But because people who are unhoused need different timelines for when they'll be prepared to move. Again, social service agencies deal with this all the time when they're rehousing people from the street. So why it's being even a point of contention is beyond me. But again, like, this just goes back to the fact that misinformation seems to be the preferred narrative, and then those of us that have an informed perspective that try and say, hey, that isn't actually accurate, and this is how you can go about getting the proper information. We're told we're bullying people, or we're told that, oh, we're know-it-alls. No, I don't know it all. Never claim to, never will. I know different. I don't know better. Sometimes I know better. More, but even then, I don't even call it better anymore. I call it different. Because that shows a lot more respect for the other person than to say, oh, I know better than you. Like, no. You can know differently about things. And that's okay. You don't have to be a know-it-all. You just have to, like, it's just knowing differently. And allowing the opportunity for people and sharing that different knowledge should be welcomed, not criticized. Like, if somebody's sharing with you, this is not accurate, this is not accurate based on their own experiences, that should be something where you say, you know what, I respect you for sharing that. Thank you. Not, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Like, the amount of times that I've shared that, hey, you need to do better at, being better informed on this, because you're missing a huge chunk of the overall picture. People seek a gotcha moment. They try and catch me. Or they try and, undermine me in some way. Like, oh, well, give me the facts then. Well, that's not my responsibility. My only responsibility is to say, hey, there's information out there that counters it. You need to seek that out. Which is what I do. Because it's not my responsibility, nor is it my role, nor is it my job to provide the facts for people, because I'm not the one creating the facts. I'm not the one stating the facts. I'm not the one that is... I'm not the one responsible for this, for the thing that I... Like, it's disgusting how people just take being told they need to learn the facts as an opportunity for, oh, well, give me the facts. No. I'm under no obligation to give you the facts. I only say, hey, the facts are out there. I've seen them. You need to look into them. But I get it. The amount of times I've been attacked by people that refuse to acknowledge the fact that, hey, I need to do better, and instead try and undermine me or try and catch me in a gotcha moment. Like when I say that, and then somebody tries to imply that I need to prove that I know what I know, like, that's disgusting. Like, telling me, oh, tell me the facts. Like, I don't need to show you my work. But when what you're saying can be disproven by the most minute of research, somebody needs to point that out to you. And I do so as respectfully as possible. Could I be a real blunt bitch about it? Probably. But I try not to be. Because I want people to learn different and to expand their knowledge by sharing my own. I don't want to come at people attacking them for this, that, or the other. I want them to be like, you know what? She's got a point. And especially when I'm trying to correct their approach, I say, I want you to be what you're wanting to be. However, this is how you can go about it, because how you're going about it now is not the way to accomplish that. That's met with so much animosity, so much venom. It's disgusting. Like, if it's not positive, people don't like it. Which is ironic, because the first thing they'll do is be negative towards somebody else. But if somebody's negative remotely towards them, like, that's the thing. That's the toxic loop. The very same people that are constantly criticizing other people don't like it so much when it happens to them. Now, there's a difference between these people and myself. I take criticism happily. But I also know what proper, respectful criticism is and what is an attack or an attempt to undermine or invalidate anything I say. And so it's just like, and that's the main frustration that I have, is that the very people that are the first to criticize others are the last to accept criticism themselves. Like, some of the people that try and offer their perspectives really need to, like, take several seats. And they're always nonchalant about, oh, I'm going to eat crow for this later. Well, that's like, there's measures in place that prevent you from having to eat crow. So instead of continuing on the way you're doing, maybe do things that way so that you're not eating crow so much. Like, it's so frustrating, because there's so many people out there that I respect so much. Like, absolutely respect. I respect what they're trying to do. I respect the intention behind it. But it's the implementation that needs to be addressed and adapted to and improved. And I try and be as respectful and as, positive about it as possible. But I'm also unfiltered and blunt about it. And yeah, sometimes that's taken as negative. Cool. But when the only thing they get from that is to try and, twist what I say into an attack, no. Or they try and invalidate, or they try to, present themselves as oh, well, you need to prove, I'm not going to take your word for it. Well, I don't expect you to. That's why I'm giving you the information on how to seek out the information that you need, so you don't take my word for it. I don't want you taking my word for it. Learn from the people whose job it is to teach you. And I'm sorry, but these social service agencies' job, they're not the ones whose job it is. There's higher governing bodies that need to be who you seek information from. Unbiased governing bodies that you need to seek information from, because, like it or not, social agencies are going to be biased. Again, objectivity doesn't exist as much as it should be. But anyways, that was an epic sidetrack. But yeah, it's just been a growing frustration of mine that I just see people that like want to be part of the solution, but are actually more of the part of the problem than they even care to recognize. And they don't care to fact check themselves, and their only response is to attack the person that offers a perspective that hopefully would tell them that they need to, do some more work before ripping off. I don't know. It's just frustrating, It's so frustrating to see people that are capable of so much and so much and being the very thing that they want to be. Like, they want to be unfiltered, cool. They want to be, all for political accountability, cool, by all means. But the approach needs to be worked on. And I only say that because I've been through that. I've needed to adapt and adjust and, learn different about how to best approach things. And I'll even say sometimes I still come up short on that. And I will likely continue to. But I think overall, I can say that I have come a long way from where I used to be. And I think it's important that everybody does that. To have that self-awareness is important. To have that ability to see within yourself what needs, like, to be able to be objective about, like, even taking criticism is important. Like, consider the source. It's important. Considering the source is important. And considering the intentions, like, objectivity is important across the board. Considering the source is important, which bleeds into objectivity. Because if you take criticism and respond to it negatively based on thinking that it's a reliable source it's coming from, but if you take criticism from a source that has, validity to it and objectivity to it, you're likely to honor that criticism and actually take that into consideration. So, like I said, objectivity is important. And it's such a shame that people don't grasp that concept. And then people even think the worst of people that are, trying to be critical of them. Well, no. Criticism doesn't always mean destruction or doesn't always need to be negative. It can be part of a positive change. Like, you can't have positive change without acknowledging negative, period. Like, you can't have positive change if there was nothing negative to address. Right? Like, it's fact. And it's important that people need to learn that. And it's gross that people will just intentionally, blatantly spread misinformation, knowing full well they could be doing better or different. I got to really stop using the word better. Different. That could actually benefit them and those that they have an audience with. than to just go on misinformation alone. And again, I am speaking from strict experience. Like I said, I used to be very naive on how I approach things. Like I used to, and I still find this even now. Like, well, not really find it, but like the thought is there. Like a lot of people that I was once overwhelmingly influenced by were of the belief that higher levels of government didn't really care. And I kind of bucked that trend for them. And yet they still seem to continue believing that and preaching that and talking as if that's the reality. And I'm going to address this in a different video, I think, because it's very important to the overall conversation that I'm trying to spark with my on how Hidden Homeless series. These social service agencies seem to be contributing more to the hopelessness unhoused people feel than anything else and anyone else. Like society, sure, they probably have a role to play. Higher level governments, yeah, I could see. But the kind of narrative that these social service agencies push on even their clients is disturbing. It's disturbing. And again, does more to contribute to the problem than it actually does to solve it. But again, I think I'll go into that in a different video. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. Oh, it's in my other. I have 2 red notebooks, so it's really, really confusing sometimes to realize which one is which. Just gonna write this down. Sorry, guys. Is there a second page? Yes, there is. But I think this needs to go up top. I'm really excited about my series because I have a lot of topics to cover. But anyways, guys, I think I'm going to end the stream here. And I'll see you guys soon, hopefully. I'll see you tomorrow for Friday Night SmackDown on my main channel. So see you guys then.